Now, watch elitists, you know, watch snobs, there are a few of them in the world. If they see you wearing a Tissot branded watch, you should get their respect. Most of them know the brand, they like the brand, and they will tell you, in their words, that it is a great starter watch. You know, it's a great gateway watch to get into watch collecting. But they'll respect it. They like the Tissot brand. They like the Alpina brand, another value Swiss brand that I absolutely love. They'll like it, and you'll have a conversation with them, but they will respect it. Here comes a loom shot. That's why I have half the studio lighting off. Here we go. On my tabletop review on the Tissot Seastar series, I think you guys will like it. And these are fantastic watches. Here comes a loom. Don't get scared. It's dark. So on the right, we have the chronograph, this one right here. It is a bigger piece at 45 millimeters. On the left, we have a Seastar 1000 non-chronograph automatic movement. It has an ETA, well, a variation of an ETA automatic movement in it, about 43 millimeters. Notice this one has an illuminated pip on the seconds hand. Both of them have illuminated pips on their bezel rings, and great hands. I mean, the hands are super luminous, super, you know, legible. You'll have no problem seeing these, whatever you're doing, even diving. And these are true dive watches. Both are rated to 300 meters. These are not desk divers. These are working watches. Working Swiss dive watches. Enjoy this review because I probably won't review too many of those. I mean, genuine Swiss diving watches. Notice the blue hue, by the way. Very similar to Citizen. And I love Citizen Loom. It's fantastic. Super Luminova, whatever it's called, probably. Great loom on the Tissot Seastar. And I have used them as competitive options in other WRVs. I think you guys have been watching as we've progressed. This one is my watch. Purchased it. Was not given to me by anyone, not Tissot. This one is a loaner, not mine. So I have to be very careful with it. I cannot put wear and tear on it unless I want to pay $550. This one right here. That is because it has, again, a pure Swiss ETA movement, 2824-2. Technically speaking, it is a Tissot C07.810. And the other numbers are as follows. An amazing 80-hour power reserve. You can see that in the bottom of the dial. Powermatic 80. 80 hours? That is incredible. 21,600 VPH, 25 joules for this watch right here. This one's a quartz. So it has an ETA G10.212 quartz chronograph movement if you care. So we've got an automatic, we got a quartz, we got a chronograph, we have a non-chronograph. For the Seastar, let's get going in the details. I think I'll start with this one. On loan, once again. I'll say at the outset, this is a gorgeous watch. It's as good looking in person as you're watching right here. It is fantastic. Has a perfectly hued sunburst blue dial. It's kind of a violet blue. Look at this. See the actual dial, how beautiful that is? Just a beautiful color. What would make it a little bit better is if the bezel ring hue tied into it. It doesn't. It's a lot brighter. So this is kind of a pastel sky blue. Still looks cool. Thematically it works, but I'm just saying if you want to tie it in, it'd be even more special. The faces on both of these watches are fantastic. This one is less cluttered because, of course, it's a non-chronograph movement. We'll look at the markers first off. Has a very thin chapter ring in the case. That is a plus. It doesn't take up a lot of case space in this 43 millimeter piece. If it did, then we would have the Seiko watch syndrome, which has huge chapter rings and it shrinks the effective face size, as I have ranted about for years now. This one really doesn't have that. It has a chapter ring, this narrow portion right here with just very simple markings on it. No military time, no cluttering going on. We have three-dimensional applied markers, no numerals, pretty divey. Most dive watches are that way, right? Great loom, you saw that. Has the inverted T for Tissot. See the T right there on the seconds hand. We have a loomed pip. Unfortunately for the seconds hand and for a portion of the hours and minutes hand, they're in shiny metal, which I do not like. Would I paint this if it was my watch? Probably not, because the lume is too fantastic. I'd be tempted. I ain't gonna lie. I would be tempted, but if I did, it'd probably just be the seconds hand. Make that fluorescent orange. It would really balance this watch out. Well, but that's just me. Tissot marking 1853 in the top, Seastar Powermatic 80, and then something there in the bottom. Swiss made, true Swiss made. I think this is 100% Swiss, the Tissot. The Chrono XL had some Chinese stuff in it. I haven't broken into these, so I don't know definitively. The day is in positive. I'm sorry, the date is in positive format here, but it's super hard to read because it's so small. But it's there. The bezel is fantastic. 120 click, ceramic bezel, sandproof. Lume at the 12 o'clock position. We have minute markings to the 20-minute mark. Very functional. This is, like I say, a true dive watch. I would dive with this no problem. As a second cool thing. I mean, when I dive, it's going to be with a wrist computer. But, you know, as a backup analog piece, totally diveable. Screw-in crown, 300-meter water resistant. Crown protectors right here. Tissot logo here. Very interesting case design, by the way. Look at this. Both of these watches feature it. It is a Seastar feature. So it has a recessed, polished portion on the side of the case. Just different. It's kind of cool. The dimensions on this one, this is a smaller one. So if you have a smaller wrist, you might consider this one. The Seastar 1000 in this format is 43 millimeters wide, technically 42.7, 13 millimeters in thickness, and a very short 49 millimeter lug to lug. Look at how short those are. Those are super compact lugs. So again, this is what it looks like on my wrist. About perfect. I have 7.5-inch wrists. Looks good, right? To me, it looks like a Phobos Reef Master, which I have on the table, competitive offering. Good looking watch, though. Love the case. Lots of polishing going on here. The case back, by the way, see-through. Logo rotor here. Again, it's basically an ETA 2824. And guys, if you don't know, this is a more expensive movement. I rarely see any watch that has this movement in it below $500. Let's say $400. It's pretty rare. And this one, again, kind of falls into that category. This is around $550. ETA 2824s are just more expensive. It's just the way it is. Now, I love the Chinese movements. I love the Citizen Seiko Auto movements. I have had great luck with them. I personally don't necessarily have to have a Swiss automatic movement, but as far as they go, this one is relatively inexpensive in the world of Swiss watches, and it's super technical if you ask me. 80-hour power reserve, that's pretty fantastic. It beats a lot of $10,000 watches. I don't know if this portion here is sapphire. The crystal is. This is a sapphire crystal. All the Seastars have sapphire if you care. Screw-in case back. Really nice detail. Strangely, the Seastar 1000, at least in this sizing, the 43 millimeter case size, features a 21 millimeter lug spacing, which is odd. That's weird because we all have a bunch of 22 millimeter straps from our collection and we would like to be able to swap them on. It's not 24, it's not 22, it's 21 millimeter in this variation of Tissot Seastar 1000. Just keep that in mind. That being said, this variation, again, here's the SKU number, has a beautiful dark navy strap on it with navy stitching on it, dual keepers, Alcantara lined. I think that's a synthetic waterproof suede, genuine Tissot strap. Should be very comfortable, slightly tapered, stitched, butterfly frosted clasp right here. I haven't even put this on because I can't put wear on it. Tissot T right here. This is a great looking watch. And it does come in some other cool variations. The 43 millimeter Tissot Seastar. I've seen mesh banded versions. I'll put links to that below. And remember, when you use one of my links, you support more watch content. That's right. So if I get more dollars, I'll just put it into the TMP business, as I've always done. They have a black case version of this. They have a pure black tactical version of the Tissot Seastar. Very cool. Very cool. And it was less expensive. It was like $490-ish, subject to change. They have a rose gold PVD coated variation of the Tissot Seastar, and probably a lot more. So there you go. That is the automatic version, the dive watch Tissot Seastar. Kind of cool to review a true Swiss dive watch. I've done a lot of Chinese ones, a couple Japanese ones, and so now we have a Swiss representation. Here comes the Tissot Seastar T120417170051, blah, blah, blah. SKU below, link below. Get it while you can. I love this one. I really do. This one, believe it or not, I like better. Even though it's a chrono. I know. I've warmed up to chronos. If you watch my earlier WRVs, I wasn't a super fan of the chronographs. I was like, chronographs, you know, they're okay. And then I dialed into something like this Citizen Type B dial. And this is a CA 4210. $115. Great watch. Go watch my review on that. Citizen Eco Drive. Chronograph features. And I started wearing them and I was like, these are kind of cool. They look pretty good, and I got used to the busyness of the dials. Notice, and these watches are coming from two different worlds, but notice this Tissot Seastar chronograph variation. The busyness really isn't that much because they don't outline the subdials in white like this one did, so they kind of blend in more. And it's a black background on this variation, and there are some other great colors of the Tissot chronographs. Go check them out. I saw a beautiful blue version, the T12041711040100 version. There you go. A blue gradient version. They might have some more noise, but this is probably my favorite one I've seen, the orange and black version. The sizing suits me better, as I mentioned, 45 millimeters across, not counting the pushers, not counting the crown or the crown protectors. 13 millimeters in thickness, so it's going to be exactly the same thickness as a normal one. And it's going to be a longer 51 millimeters, but that's still very compact. The entire Seastar lineup by Tissot has very compact trim lugs. And this one has standard 22 millimeter spacing, so you can swap out straps easily from your collection. We'll start off with the strap, by the way. I love this one. Genuine Tissot silicone strap, matte finished, has a T in it. Did you notice that? T for Tissot. Dual keepers. Texturing on the underside for water flow, letting the sweat somewhat evaporate out. Same clasp as we've seen in some other Tissot models. And then here's the case back. Non-see-through, but we got a cool sea creature. We got a seahorse, which I love. I said this in some other reviews. I love it when you put a sea creature on your sea watch, your dive watch. I just love it. So we got a seahorse here, Tissot Seastar, clear markings, reminds us it has a sapphire crystal, 300 meter water resistance, screw-in crown, and also screw-in pushers, guys. Just like we saw in that Spinnaker watch. And like I said in that Spinnaker review, there's lots of watches that do it. But that's how you're going to have that 300 meter, or they call it 1,000 foot water resistance. You're going to have double O-rings, screw in. I have them unscrewed now here just by way of reference. Screw-in crown once again. So this is how we start our timer. This is the timer hand. The seconds hand is right here in the 6 o'clock position. Then we have tenths of seconds right here. We have a totalizer scale, 30 minutes, and it will just wrap around. The pushers on this thing are super positive. Fantastic. We'll stop it, reset it, snapback functionality, Seastar 1000 chronograph. It's a fantastic, legitimate chronograph. We do have a date display on this chronograph, almost illegible, very small, 4:30 position, negative display, but it's there. Swiss made is in the bottom of the case, reminding us Seastar Tissot 1853, and that's about all the room they have in the case. Notice the orange sub hands. Really nice thematically. I just love that. The hands themselves in both of these watches are those thick stick hands that Tissot does. I really love their shape. Once again, I just wish they were completely coated in lume and they didn't have any shiny metal on them. My rant once again. The timer hand is perfect. Orange, orange here, orange here. Again, with the lume as good as it is, would I mod this? No. Now, I will always really congratulate a maker that does this. This is a chronograph watch, right? So we can run a timer function as we're doing right now. And by the way, this turns into an hours totalizer right here. I forgot to mention that in the upper right, in the 130 position. But a thing I like when a manufacturer does this is they add a timing bezel to a chronograph. And some people would go, well, that's crazy. You got a chronograph. Why do you need a timing bezel? My answer is because timing bezels are super easy to use. They're quick. I don't have to unscrew the pushers. All I do is rotate a bezel. Again, 120 click. This one is matte finished. Set off in orange highlights. Really nice bezel. Super good traction on both of these bezels. I forgot to mention on this. So you can use it as you see I'm doing right now with gloved hands. It's awesome. I love it when they do that. And if you want to use your chronograph function for another timing function, assuming that you don't wear a smartwatch or something, you want to go pure analog, you can do it. Seastar 1000 chronograph. It's just fantastic. Super precise piece. So when you press it and use this watch, you just get the feeling that it's just a super precise, well-made timepiece. And I'm not going to say it's the only one. I had some Chinese watches I've reviewed that basically are the same way. There I am screwing the pushers in with my gloves. That's what it looks like. Great watch. Really great watch. Sapphire crystal, once again, as we mentioned. Competitive offerings. I honestly don't have that many. Especially Swiss variety, because I am a cheap watch guy. My pricing level usually falls well below these pieces. This one's, again, $550. That's out of my price range, to be completely honest with you. I mean, I can get a watch like this, automatic movement, has all these features, all this second cool stuff for around $200. I can get a deep blue Master 1000, and it does it for me. An abalone shell variation like this. It's going to be a bigger piece, which I like. Ceramic bezel, all that second cool. Seiko NH35 movement. Yeah, I mean, I love this watch, I do. But I'm saying for my money, I'm buying this. When we consider the chronograph variation, though, that's a little different to me, because it has all the functionality and coolness of a dive watch, has great legibility in all its phases. I love this watch, and the sizing is perfect. So I think for the money, this one's worth it. The Tissot chronograph, I'm going to give it a high recommend. High recommend. If you want to go cheaper, hey, by all means, do it. Go with a Citizen Primo chronograph. Go watch my review. This is a great watch. The Citizen Primo chronograph is fantastic. And it's solar powered, eco drive. I did a hands mod on this one. I put this Barton strap on it. It didn't come with it. It's awesome. It's not a Tissot, but it's still cool. And making my point that I'm super happy to wear this as much as I am this. You know, some watch snobs, maybe not. They're like, well, I'm not wearing a Citizen. I think Citizen's awesome. Do you guys remember I reviewed a Tissot already? Speaking of chronograph, it was this one, the Tissot Chrono XL, right? Non-molested, boys and girls of TMP, non-molested. Had a few quirks like a pry caseback, which was very strange. But great presentation, great Aura style handset. It is a legitimate chronograph, quartz variety as well. All the Tissot quality levels. This is a really cool tan and olive drab strap variation. Just a cool watch. And inverted T coming from the same brand. This really opened my eyes to the Tissot brand. Okay, but let me see how many other chronographs. Oh, I have this one. It's discontinued. It's one of Oceanaut's favorite watches they made. They don't make it anymore. It was called the Naval. The rest of their Oceanaut line is just garbage. Well, in terms of look. They're great watches. I just don't like their looks. This one I really like a lot. But this isn't really a legitimate chronograph, per se. I mean, it's got dials, but they're not super precise. They're a little bit harder to read. You don't have like a timer, large timing hand. You know, you know, this is a seconds hand in this variation. To run a timer, you're going to use your subdials. Let me see if I can get this thing going here. Is it going? Is it going? Yeah, it's just, as a chronograph, it's just a little bit hokey. I'm trying to get the timer going. And plus, it's this subdial right here. Yeah, I don't know what the heck's going on with it. Do I push this one now? Heck, I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't use the chronograph function on this Oceanaut Naval. I use the bezel. Yeah, this one legit. I mean, you saw it. It's crisp, works great. They look kind of similar, though. They have that orange appearance. This is the stock strap on the Oceanaut Naval. Great handset on this, by the way. Great handset, and I did not mod this one. Yeah, so I just kind of ignore the subdials in this one and go for the handset and the red seconds hand. It's a fantastic watch. Discontinued, sadly. Made in China. Yeah, the Oceanaut Naval. And then I'm going to end the video with this one. I love this watch. I really do. Again, a little bit pricey for me for an automatic watch. How about maybe the Phobos Reefmaster? Here's an orange and black variation. They look pretty similar to me. Ceramic bezel, sapphire crystal. I think this has a Seiko movement in it as well. Very similar, but it's going to cost about half of what this Tissot does. You know, it's a great dive watch, great bezel. Go watch my review on it. I just not rant, but rave about it. And notice it has a sandwich dial, layered dial in it. Fantastic lume for the Phobos lineup. Great dive watch. Got to end it. Went longer than I wanted, but it really is a 2-for-1 watch review from Tissot, a Swiss brand. And before I go, let me show you the box. Comes with a massive box, dudes. A massive box. This is a Tissot box. They're so hard to store, but I keep them when I resell the watch. I have to. And then it has all types of literature in here. History, what they have in their lineup. I guess it's cool. You know, a lot of guys like that. It's cool. I mean, you get a lot. There's a lot in there. Same comment if you like huge boxes that you have to store. Generally, I don't. Tissot Seastar 1000 F100 Super Sabre on the table. Great watches, nothing fancy. Thanks for the support. Thanks for being a donor, keeping the show, whether it's knives, guns, adventures, philosophy videos going. Much appreciated.